Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride of a lot of peaks and valleys, periods of loneliness, being misunderstood, being not good enough or not smart enough. And it's being able to overcome those adversities and challenges and setbacks because they occur. We're either coming from a problem, we're in a problem, or we're heading towards a problem. And that's the condition of being a human being. Being an entrepreneur or high performance person is someone who can consistently get up over and over and over and over again, no matter what friends, family members, relatives, and news media, people are saying.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. We have special guest today, Sir Darren Jacklin. Darren, for people who may be hearing your story for the first time, what originally pulled you into the entrepreneurship and personal development?
Great question. I started my first business when I was 7 years old, called the company called Rent a Kid. I'd go out in my neighborhood and solve a problem and serve people by cutting grass, shoveling sidewalks in wintertime, delivering newspapers 6 days a week. I was always one of these kids that just wanted to serve my community and solve problems. So I got started at a very young age of age 7. And by the time I was 9 years old, I had my two best friends, which are still great friends to this day, 45 plus years later. Still great friends with me to this day. So I've always been this kid who can see opportunity zones and then see ways to solve problems and serve people and get paid for it.
That's an amazing answer. Jack of all trades for problem
Absolutely, yeah.
solving.
Yeah.
You worked with entrepreneurs, CEOs, and high performers around the world. What patterns do you see among people who actually succeed versus those who are stuck?
Great question. Relentless determination to succeed and to win no matter what the circumstances are. So, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride of a lot of peaks and valleys, periods of loneliness, being misunderstood, being not good enough or not smart enough. And it's being able to overcome those adversities and challenges and setbacks because they occur. Like I always share with people, we're either coming from a problem, we're in a problem, or we're heading towards a problem. And that's the condition of being a human being. And being an entrepreneur or high performance person is someone who can consistently get up over and over and over and over again, no matter what friends, family members, relatives, and news media, people are saying, because it's not easy. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. You've got to have thick skin. You've got to be able to overcome rejection, perseverance, financial pressures and challenges at times, managing and scheduling your calendar, and then maintaining health and fitness and optimal energy is important. It's the greatest sporting event of all time because you get paid based on performance, based on results. And so it's not for everybody, but if you're able to endure the peaks and the valleys of it and sustain it over a period of time and keep getting up no matter what, keep making the phone calls, following up, over time, you'll win. But you've got to put in the thousands of hours. And that's one of the challenges with social media today is there's so much misinformation and so much exaggeration and so much fantasy that it doesn't show all the hard work behind the scenes. I have a lot of friends of mine that are professional athletes and in various different sports. And it's interesting because I hike with some of these men and women as well. And, you see the highlight reels on the internet or on television, but you don't see the concussions behind the scenes. You don't see the injuries. You don't see the thousands of push-ups they're doing. You don't see all the exercise and all the weightlifting, all the recovery time. You don't see all that stuff. That doesn't sell on TV and on the internet, but I see it behind the scenes. And that's what's really important is people to understand that it's hard work and it takes time, takes effort, takes energy, and you got to persevere.
I get this song in my head, I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Absolutely. It's a true story. Yeah, I've been knocked down many times, but I keep consistently getting back up and have a relentless mindset because I was misunderstood throughout my life. I was a kid that was never good enough. And so in my younger days, I had something I always wanted to prove. I wanted validation. I wanted to prove from other people. And then through age and experience and maturity, I realized that now it's an inner game. But in the early days, man, it was all about looking good, image and ego, getting attention. Look at me, the fake Rolex watch, all that kind of stuff. I played that game in my 20s, right? And then I got found out. And I realized how much I lacked integrity in that area. And so it wasn't working for me. So I had to change things and just be authentic. And today it's about transparency, authenticity, vulnerability, and share with people the failures, the mistakes, the challenges, the setbacks like we're doing here today. And if I can help people avoid potholes and making some of those mistakes in terms of risk management, then it makes a huge difference.
I love the way you put it, potholes.
Yeah. Yeah. And there'll be lots of them on the journey of life.
Oh, yeah. I recently heard an article that a lot of people submitted their claims, like 14,000. A lot of people submitted claims in Toronto for damage to their car due to the potholes.
Mhm.
My off-roading car from BC, just eating them like, like nothing.
Absolutely.
Was there a defining moment early in your career that shaped how you approach business and life today?
Absolutely, for sure. I had people believe in me when I didn't believe in myself. And I was in Toastmasters International, which is an organization I highly recommend. It's been around for over 100 years, Toastmasters. It's a public speaking leadership organization. And I had a woman named Sue Urquhart, many years ago. She believed in me when didn't believe in myself. And I've had days and moments where I've wanted to quit and wanted to give up and just take the path of least resistance, do something that's easy. And I've had people that come into my life and say, Darren, listen, we need to sit down and have an uncomfortable conversation here. You're not going to quit. You're not going to give up. You need to just get back up, dust it off. And today's a new day. And so I really appreciate those men and women in my life who've been for me in my corner when things are hard. I wanted to quit. My back was against the wall and I wanted to just say, I can't do this anymore. And I realized that there's another level, and that I'm grateful for.
That's a fantastic way to put it. Thank you for sharing.
Because, I'm hard on some people sometimes. People on my teams, people in my inner circle, I'm hard on them. It's tough love. And people are like, oh my gosh, you're so hard on me, because I want you to win. I want you to succeed. I want you to become that role model for your family, for your children. I want you to be a good example to your employees. I want you to be a good example to your community. I want you to go the next level. I want you to get your body in better shape. I want you to get your finances right. I want you to get your relationship right, because I want you to win. I want you to become successful. I want you to become that man or woman you've always wanted to be. Because most people don't have people cheering for them and having somebody have their back.
Most people have the opposite, actually.
They do. Yeah. We're either getting hugged and getting slugged. I always share with people, in life, it's a balance of hug and slug. Some people are hugging you. Some people are slugging you. Some people are kissing you. Some people are kicking you. Some people are supporting you. Some people are challenging you. But you're always going to get hugged and slugged, kissed and kicked, supported and challenged. You see it all the time on social media channels. You see it in the Instagram feeds. You see it in the LinkedIn feeds, the Facebook feeds. You see that people are hugging and slugging constantly, kicking and kicking, supporting and challenging all the time. And so you just got to realize that it's a dance. You got to play both sides, getting hugged and slugged.
So you operate across several areas: coaching,
Mhm.
speaking, investing, and advisory work. How do those pieces fit together in your overall business model?
A great question. So I served for a decade on EXP World Holdings board of directors. We helped take that company from a startup to a multi-billion-dollar company in 24 countries on 5 continents in residential real estate with the real estate agents. So today, my primary focus is mergers and acquisitions. So I spend a good majority of my time on telephone calls, Zoom calls, going through discovery process, due diligence, making financial offers, buying bookkeeping, accounting, tax planning, and payroll services companies across North America as part of a roll-up strategy with one of my companies called Smashing Numbers. So it's a multi-7-figure company. We took it from concept, and then we did an acquisition of a company called Smashing Numbers. It's been around for many years. We acquired that acquisition and then rebranded our name to Smashing Numbers. So my partners and I were going to grow that company to high 8 figures. And then we'll probably, in the next 5 years, we'll probably look at maybe a high 9-figure exit potential on that. And then because of my history and experience of 25 years as a very successful corporate trainer, I serve on multiple paid advisory boards, paid boards of directors. So I have a lot of history and experience. So I take a lot of that practical wisdom and knowledge, but also my Rolodex. I have access to a lot of very influential decision makers. And so when people hire and retain me, they're not only paying for my knowledge, my history and experience, but they're also paying to get access to people that I can open up doors for them that just compresses time. And some of these people they never get access to because they're not going to return your phone calls. They're not going to return your emails, and you're not going to get their cell phone number. And so it's all about compression of time, and leverage is the key thing. And so I spend my time, growing Smashing Numbers. I mentor and coach people one-on-one or serve on paid advisory boards, boards of directors. And then we have Link Foundation, which is the global passion philanthropy project where we build schools around the world. So I focus on 3 categories.
Wow, that's quite impressive. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
And outside of that, go to the gym 6 to 7 days a week consistently. And I hike almost every day of my life as well. And I hike all over the world, some of the biggest mountains on the planet. And so that's where I develop mindset and mental toughness and situational awareness and controlled discomfort is climbing some of these big mountains.
I can feel that.
Yeah.
We had a conversation about this.
Absolutely.
What does a typical week look like for you when it comes to managing clients, speaking engagements, and partnerships?
Yeah, great questions. So every Sunday I plan my week ahead. So every Sunday I have a weekly recurring calendar meeting where I plan my week ahead. And I look at what are my top 3 highest leverage activities this week? What are my top 3 highest income producing activities this week? So I prefer working on the business, like Smashing Numbers as an example, versus working in the business. So my focus is dealing with decision makers, business brokers across North America, referral partners. So I focus on things that generate income. Everything I touch makes money. Everything that does not make money, I delegate it to one of my team members, one of my employees. So I focus very specific criteria each week. I have 3 highest priority activities, and then I have 1 highest priority activity for the week that no matter what happens, it's a non-negotiable, it's got to get done. And then each day during the 18 hours a day, What I look at in my life is what are the top three objectives that need to get done each single day during the 18 hours that I'm awake. And I look at that every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. And then Saturday is my week in review. So then every Saturday morning after I go hiking, I look at my week in review and I review my week, what worked well, what didn't work well, what I want to change, what I want to adjust, what I want to improve. And then I also look at who are my top 5 people I must have a contact with this week. So I may know them or not know them, but I need to get access to these people through my network, through introductions or open up doors. And so I do that. And then also I scenario plan, best case scenario, likely case scenario, worst case scenario each week. So I'm always contingency planning and speculating what could possibly go wrong this week in my calendar. And then I prepare contingency plans like, power outages, for example, delayed flights, somebody not showing up, somebody getting sick. So I speculate and collaborate with my team. And I think about, okay, what are all the things that could possibly go wrong this week? So I'm prepared that if they happen, I've got plans in place just in case.
I'm assuming you're also a little bit into prepping.
Say that again?
Are you into prepping at all?
I prep a lot. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Always preparation is a huge, huge thing for me. I have thinking time where I go hiking and I schedule thinking time in my life, but I also prepare. Yeah, I have specific questions. I scenario plan, best case scenario, like case scenario, worst case scenario. If I'm making an acquisition, I put myself in the, seller's shoes. What's it like for them to go through selling for example, their accounting firm they've had for 38 years. And the fears, the doubts, the worries, the insecurities that come with that. This is their legacy. This is their baby they've had for decades. So I put myself in their shoes emotionally, but logically, what would they think? What would they feel? And then come from that place of understanding as well. So it's very important to know your audience, know who you're dealing with. And then also, what's my mindset each day as well? Because I've got to go out there and I've got to be focused and deal with mitigating as many distractions as possible and protecting my calendar and protecting my time, my energy. So, in business, we always talk about return on investment. I always say you should always metric return on life, ROL, return on life, and ROE, return on energy. So when you're doing things, what's the return on energy? So if there's things that I don't, like, for example, doing these podcasts, it multiplies and expands my energy. I get great joy out of this because there's a best-selling book called The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, came out years ago. And my number one love language is acts of service. So I get great joy and fulfillment and enrichment doing these podcasts to serve people in a practical way to make a difference.
I can see how those long hikes and long times to, without technology, just walking and thinking are super beneficial.
For sure.
That's what I find the same when I'm driving, across Canada every summer. You got 5 days in a car just to think about things and ruminate, plan some things. It's great because when you're behind the computer and you got a phone in your hand, then you're just so distracted.
So distracted. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you got to schedule it. I schedule thinking time. People always say, well, what do you think about? I said, well, think about what you're thinking about. How many times do people actually audit their thinking? They actually write down on paper in a journal. They actually audit their thinking. I hired somebody years ago to look at all my blind spots, do an integrity audit of my life. And actually, this coach I hired actually looked at all my blind spots and over a 3-month period, and then came back to me with a full report, a detailed report of my life, of all my blind spots that they watched and observed by watching and observing me, but also talking to people in my immediate inner circle, friends and family and loved ones, and interviewing all these people over a 3-month period of what are all my blind spots. It was powerful. It was very uncomfortable, very confronting, but I tell you, man, it was so grateful to receive the feedback because now it's an area where I can grow and expand and develop myself because now I know what my blind spots are.
This is something people can definitely leverage in their life for sure. I can see that. A lot of people are just flying blind, to be honest. They give attention to the first thing that comes in their reticular activation system and not just strategically thinking and focusing what's important. So thank you for sharing that.
I'll give you a practical example. So the other day I was talking to a very, very successful person and I was talking to him about, blind spots. And he said to me, Darren, can I give you a blind spot that you have that you don't see right now? I said, sure. He goes, neutrality. So what do you mean by that? And he goes, well, he said, you're an intense person. You like to get things done. You get impatient. You're very results driven, which I am. And he says, what I want you to consider is neutrality is where there's no emotion. Like you just got an acquisition. Yeah, I just got an acquisition. Like no excitement, And he said, oh, the deal collapsed, right? The business broker went in a different direction, right? Deal collapsed, didn't get the acquisition. Neutrality, not. So you win or you lose, you're just calm. You're not elated in one area or the other. And so a lot of people, they get really high and they get really low. Oh my gosh, I just got this close this deal. Oh my gosh, this best client just lost. And so there's this fluctuation. And so what I'm learning now is part of my feedback from him just the other day, and I've now implemented it, journaled about it, is now I'm going to practice. And I said to him, so how do I practice this? He goes, well, Darren, think about this. You're obsessed with hiking, aren't you? I said, yeah. And he goes, you've encountered lots of wildlife across North America. bears, cougars, coyotes, lynx, bobcats, all that stuff. He goes, whenever I talk to you and you're talking about that you encounter wildlife, you're always very calm. He said, I remember when you got charged from the black bear and the mother and the cub. And he said, the bear came at you and did a bluff charge. He goes, you didn't freak out. You put your hands up, you calmly talked to the bear, and then she backed off. She didn't make physical contact with you. That's neutrality. He goes, so take what you do on the hiking trails when you're dealing with wildlife encounters and now practice it in your everyday life. I thought that's powerful.
That is very powerful, actually. Amazing.
Yeah.
And we'll get into some wildlife encounters on this call as well, if you want to share.
Sure.
Because, yeah, plenty. How do most people initially discover your work today? Referrals, speaking events, social media, podcasts?
Yeah, great question. I have a lot of people around the world that refer me constantly, like my inbox every day, my direct messages every day on social media, even by text message. People are frequently introducing me to people around the world. I speak at a lot of conferences and a lot of conventions. I get great joy to that. And I'm a person who is very approachable and very personable. So I'm at airports or I'm traveling. I'm always saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If I'm in restaurants or hotels or bed and breakfasts or Airbnbs, I'm always saying hello to people. I'm always memorable versus forgettable. And another thing is too that may surprise you, but I actually do handwritten thank you cards. This is going out later today. These are going out today. These are just people I've met in the last 2-3 days, and these are all handwritten thank you cards. They're going to go out in the mail today, and then these will go out. These get filled out later today. These are people I just met in the last couple of days. So these all go out. I handwrite thank you cards out every single day, and I send them all across the United States and Canada, and I handwrite them out every day. And if you see me on an airplane, sometimes you'll see me doing handwritten thank you cards, and I call people every day on their birth dates or wedding anniversaries. So I'm old school with stuff, but so that's how I get recognized and memorable. I have people all the time, in 2026 say, "Oh my gosh, you send me thank you cards." Even people I see on social media, for example, I had a lady yesterday who reached out to me and requested to friend request me on social media, a very influential person. So I looked up online, I found her mailing address for her office. I did a thank you card and it will go out in the mail today to her. She'll get it sometime the next week to 10 days, and she'll get a handwritten thank you card from me. And I think to myself, in the last 12 months, just think about how many times approximately did you get a thank you card in the mail? Handwritten thank you card with a stamp on it. For most people, it's
For me, in
zero.
the last 10 years, probably, yeah, zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
So
digital.
so I get recognized a lot with that because it's very personable. Very few people hand out handwritten thank you cards and put a stamp on it and mail it. But I do it. I'm obsessed with that kind of stuff, and I do it all the time. I have a book that came out that's in over 100 countries called Until I Become. I buy books as one of my companies, and I want to be a best giving author. So I'm frequently giving out books to people, signing books in airports, travel, all that stuff as a best giving author because I want to create a ripple of impact and serve people, and make a difference. And so I financially invest in the book. I have no problem gifting the books away. People can order on Amazon, but I love doing that because I love enriching people's lives, because the secret to living is giving, and our success is someone else's miracle. Our success is someone else's miracle. So I'm always mindfully
Wow.
aware of that our success is someone else's miracle.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
These are some pretty amazing ways to live a life, because you definitely leave an impression and a measurable impact on the world.
Yes.
The coaching and personal development industry has exploded over the last decade. What major shifts are you seeing right now?
So I've seen that people are getting found out, lack of integrity, embellishing, exaggerating things. They really don't have the practical results. I'm seeing people that, maybe have got the degrees, the academic education, but theoretically they can talk a really good game, but you can't execute and implement that. So like myself, I was a D student in school, barely passed public high school. I'd overcome all kinds of financial challenges, adversities, challenges, setbacks, and I've also had some big wins and some big successes today in my life. So what I look for is I look for people who, who are these men and women that have been misunderstood, that were not good enough. These are the people you want to bet on. Like a guy like me was labeled most likely not to ever succeed. And so when I see someone like that, so in the coaching world, some of these coaches, they're very well marketed and very well branded, but it's just fluff. And so what I see is, I find these like I'll give you an example. If you came out with me to a dinner party and some of my friends that are very wealthy, financially wealthy people and very successful in business, you would think, that guy's done that? You're like, really? Like, guy's wearing $25 pair of jeans. Guy pulls up in a vehicle, is 20 years old, but he's worth $100 million, right? Guy's got 3,000 rental properties. And you see the guy pull up and you're thinking, that guy owns 3,000 doors, 3,000 rental properties? Yeah. Wow. You'd never know. But yet you start having a conversation with them or her, and you get into a collaboration like, man, this person's got a lot of history and experience. This person's very knowledgeable because they live it. They've got the experience. And so in the coaching world, I think it's very important that when people are doing their due diligence and looking to interview or hire a coach, make sure if you want to have a financial coach as an example, find somebody who's already a millionaire, multimillionaire, decamillionaire, hectomillionaire. You want to get into physical fitness. Like, for example, I have a personal coach right now in fitness. And I'm working on visible abs in my life, right? Because only 8% of people over 40 years of age in the world have visible abs. Okay. And each decade
Oh,
gets
wow.
less and less and less, but only 8% have visible abs. I'm 53 years of age. So I think about 5 or 6% of people in their 50s have visible abs. So the guy that's training me right now is an elite athlete. Okay. He's been in over 60 competitions. He's a global coach. He's a pro card. But when I interviewed him, I met with him in person in Vancouver, Canada. I had him take off his shirt in the first 10 minutes of me interviewing him, and I wanted to see if he had visible abs, and he had a six-pack. And I said, done. He's like, what do you mean, done? Let's start training. Let's get our calendars, let's schedule it. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I don't care about your background. I don't care if you have a pro card. It means nothing to me. I want the body that you got. Let's work for it. Let's create a game plan. Let's do it. Let's create a nutrition plan. Let's create a fitness plan. Let's structure it, schedule it in the calendar, and let's go. And he's like, well, I like you. And so then I said, at the end of each session that I do with you, I want constructive feedback. I want, was I not focused? And evaluate me on a scale from 1 to 10. How focused was I? How set was I on doing the reps? Evaluate me on my nutrition. I want to be evaluated so I can always keep leveling up my game to play at a world-class level. And he goes, he does. So he sends me a text message with an evaluation after each workout session of how well he thought I did as my performance coach, because I'm paying for it. So I want to see a return on investment. I want to see practical results. So I want to keep leveling up because I want to be the guy that when I go to the gym, that when you see me, let's for example, you and I go to the same gym and I see you today, and then all of a sudden you take off for 3 months, you're traveling across Canada with your family, and 3 months later you come back and you're like, oh my gosh, you look different. What did you do? I want to be that guy. I don't want you to come back 3 months from now and say, oh yeah, hey, how's it going? And you look at me thinking, well, okay, you same old, same old. He's working out 6 days a week, but I don't see much changes. And there's lots of people in the gym that are that way. You see them consistently and frequently going, but you don't see a lot of progress in terms of measurable changes in their physical body. I want to be the guy when every time you see me, you're thinking, man, that guy's climbing a different mountain. That guy's buying more real estate. That guy's doing more acquisitions. That guy's traveling more. That guy's building more schools, Link Foundation. That's how I like to be perceived. Every time somebody meets me, I'm constantly doing more things, growing and expanding myself.
Wow. And this energy is infectious. I just put it that way. You're just radiating it. I love it. How has the rise of AI automation and online learning platforms affected how coaches deliver value?
Great question. I think it's saved time in regards to like people maybe doing emails and doing reports. You still got to check for accuracy and verification with AI. AI can help you. I see some people using AI now with coaching, like with relationship coaching and stuff, which is good. I think what's really missing is human connection. And I think it's very important that, like I have a group of men that I go hiking with, and we have deep, raw, vulnerable, authentic conversations because most men suffer in silence related to mental health. And so we have confidential on the trail, eventually talk. So men open up and share authentically what's really going on. No mask, no filter, no BS, just raw and vulnerable. And then we all have to take off our clothes and we go swimming together. And we're completely naked and it's raw and vulnerable, but it works really, really well with us. And so the thing is, I think it's important, whether you're a man or a woman, is to get a tribe or community of like-minded people that have got your back and you can rely on, and to go out and be with those people, because you can learn a lot from being with those people. It's so important. Like, when I started off, I didn't have any money to hire coaches. So I joined book clubs. I wanted to study a best-selling book, a book that can enrich my life. I joined Toastmasters. I spent 11 years in Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a few $100s a year. So I always say to people, what you pay for a hotel in downtown Toronto or downtown Vancouver, or downtown New York for 1 or 2 nights pays for your whole membership for the whole year for Toastmasters. And the more you invest into it, the more you'll get out of it. And you can get so much mileage off Toastmasters for a few $100 investment to put the financial skin in your game. So start with Toastmasters. It's a great organization. You'll learn so much about public speaking, leadership, communication skills. You'll learn about time management. You'll learn about how to connect with people, how to network, how to build relationships with people. There's so much goodness in Toastmasters. And I say people, go do the in-person one versus the online one. The online one you can hide. The in-person one you can't hide because you're in the same room with everybody else.
Exactly. It's being exposed and vulnerable.
Yeah. Put yourself
you
out
get
there.
the most impact from it.
Yeah.
What do you think most coaches get wrong when trying to scale their impact or revenue?
So systems and processes, they're not duplicatable. So, my partner with smashing numbers is Carl Gould. And I asked people who are in the coaching world to Google Carl Gould. Carl is my partner, my other general partner with Smashing Numbers. Carl is like the grandfather of the coaching world. He's trained over 7,000 coaches worldwide. He's been in this business since the 1990s. He helped build Tony Robbins' coaching program, I think Dr. Stephen Covey's coaching program, John Maxwell's coaching program. So I've learned a lot by being around Carl Gould. And there was a time when I met Carl many years ago, back in 1997. So when I first learned about Carl to Tony Robbins, I put Carl on a pedestal. I put myself in the pit, and I thought I wasn't good enough to be around a guy like this. So I always had this imposter syndrome in my life where I was like, oh my gosh, he's so much better than me. And, why is he ever going to spend time with me? And about a decade ago, we ended up in the same room in Sarasota, Florida, the West Hotel together. So we're a private mastermind group. And he walked in the room and I thought, wow, we're in the same room, 130 people in the room. Well, that night we're at the steakhouse in Sarasota, Florida, and we're at 6 of us at a table. I went and used the restroom, washed my hands, came back, and Carl's sitting right beside me. I thought, what are the odds of 300 plus million people living in the United States of America, 130 people in Sarasota, Florida, at this private mastermind group that's invitation only, and Carl's sitting right beside me. At that moment, I knew that we were meant to do something. Today, we've created a very successful company called Smashing Numbers together as partners. So I learn a lot from him because he's always coaching me. I'm coaching him. We play off each other, and it's a great working relationship. So I get around people who grow and expand and develop me. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be the wealthiest person in the room. I want to be someone that I can partner with or be around that can help me grow and expand and develop myself. And so I'm always learning from people. I get around people even with hiking who are more advanced, more experienced than me, who challenge me to go hike even bigger mountains all the time. So I'm constantly, when I'm at the gym, getting around people who are playing a bigger game at the gym. Recently I was on the grouse grind in Vancouver. I'm in Kelowna, BC here today, but I was back home in Vancouver, and I was had a guy who was 95 years old pass me on the grouse grind. I was 70 minutes going up this mountain in North Vancouver, 70 minutes. And it's a steep, treacherous mountain to climb, not easy. 70 minutes, this guy was up in 55 minutes. He was 95 years old. And here I am. At the time I was 50, 51. I'm thinking, wow, that's incredible. So always get around people who are playing a bigger game than you.
That's super inspiring. Yeah, I remember I've done a hike to Vantage Peak next to, what is it? It's just a little bit it's between Pemberton and Lillooet.
Lillooet, yeah.
Yeah, so that hike is supposed to be, like, reviews said that it's a 2 hours to the cabin in the middle, and then the next day you hike to the actual peak.
Oh, wow.
When we got there a little bit late because I thought it was going to be just 2 hours. So we got there about an hour and a half before sunset. So an hour and a half in, sun has set, and the trail just ends at the massive valley of destruction and no trail in sight. Even though the map shows, I gotta continue, you just see mangled rocks and trees. Basically what happened was there was a huge landslide and they didn't update the maps.
Wow.
And we climbed through all those rocks and trees until we actually got to the cabin. I think we got to the cabin by 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
We had to
incredible.
use our satellite phone to message our friends the next, who were planning to come the next day, not to come because it's too difficult, too treacherous. So that was a pretty interesting hike, to put it mildly. All right. So 1 second, let me just get the next question here. What are currently your most effective channels for attracting high quality clients?
Through my inner circle. Through my inner circle, I've got a trusted relationship with my inner circle. And so they will refer me key people that are decision makers. So, successful people have networks of people. So that's what I do is I constantly build relationship equity with my inner circle, with my network of people by following up, by spending time with them, helping them solve problems, seeing if they're all right, checking on them. That's the key thing is building that relationship equity where they get to know you, like you, and trust you.
Wow, that's a pretty amazing answer, to be honest. Because
Yeah.
most people, they go for ads, they go for this and that, but just
We're in the
pure
people
raw
business.
relationship.
In my book, when my book came out a few years ago, Until I Become, one of the things I taught, it's only 92 pages and went global to over 100 countries. And one of the things I talk about in the book, as human beings, all we are is a network of conversations. If we look at social media, it's a network of conversations. If you go to a sporting event, people are talking, it's a network of conversations. So all we are as human beings is a network of conversations, and opportunities live inside of conversations. But we're taught as children, don't talk to strangers. But strangers are everything we want, everything we need, and everything we desire in our lives. So the key thing is we got to be mindful of what is our programming when we meet strangers. People think, I want to make more money. Well, start talking to strangers. Start listening and asking questions and find out. You see, every human being is solving for something in their life. Every human being is solving a problem. Could be around their weight, around their finances, their job, their career, their family. Could be around aging. but everybody's solving some problem in their life. The key thing is find a way to solve a problem. I always say to people, you want to build tremendous wealth, find a big pool of people, find out what the most common problem is in that industry or with that group of people, and then find a way to solve that problem and take the risk off the table for them so that you have the solution to that problem, but you take risk off for them. So that way they're open to engaging and moving forward and taking action with it. And that's what you do. Right? Like you look at the cell phone, look at how we used to have landline phones and now we have cell phones, and find ways to innovate. There's always ways to solve a problem and serve people. There's so many, we don't have money problems in life. We only have thinking problems in life. There's no lack of money in the world. It's a thinking, it's a mindset.
I like that. Not only we're externally a network of connections for people, we're also internal in the
For
same
sure.
fashion because our cells and our brains are talking to each other. They're sending
Yeah,
signals.
absolutely.
Life is fractal. So, have you experimented with any systems or automation to support lead generation or audience growth?
You know what? Good question. I don't personally, but my team, I would say probably my day-to-day operations team does. I'm not involved with day-to-day operations. I have to ask my director of operations on that, but I would say yes. I just don't know what. I've never asked. I don't know why. I can find out, but I don't. But myself personally, I don't.
You don't have to. It's understandable. You already answered about the previous question. How many coaches struggle with consistent marketing, and how do you personally approach visibility and brand building? Well,
I see a
I think
lot
you
of
already answered
coaches.
that.
I see a lot of coaches struggle with it because they make it about themselves versus serving other people. They get in
Yeah.
the way of themselves, right? Nobody cares about us. They care about how you solve their problem and serve people, right? When people are meeting people walking down the street, it's finding ways to connect with people and then find out what are they dealing with, and if they're willing to open up with you. I have people who hike with me all the time. Like I say, I hike all the time, and I have a lot of people who come out hiking with me. I'm always invite people to come out hiking with me, and people up and share with me and things that they would never share. I've had people share things with me that have hired therapists and coaches. I'm thinking, have you shared that with your therapist? Have you shared that with your relationship counselor? No, but you're sharing with me on the hiking trail, and yet you're paying the relationship counselor to advise you, and you won't even share that with them. Like, no, like, wow, different level of trust here on the hiking trail versus with the therapist.
Wow. When someone starts working with you, what is the biggest breakthrough you aim to create for them?
So quality of life. So buying back their time, quality of life, so that they're frees them up with their time and their energy to do whatever they really want to do in their life. So that's the biggest thing for them is time and energy. As I free up for them, that's the biggest thing is time and energy.
Okay, quality of life. That's a good factor. Quality of energy, output from energy. What are the most common obstacles entrepreneurs face when trying to scale their business or income?
Yeah. So not building the network before they need it is a big thing. So what I mean by that is building the network of people. So if you need to raise capital, you go out and find people who are high net worth, ultra high net worth people. People say, well, where do I find them? Well, where does money hang out? Right? Where does money hang out? Money hangs out at the Fairmont Hotel, the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carltons. People say, well, I don't have those in my area. Okay, great. So if you live in a community, where does money hang out? Find out where money hangs out in your neighborhood. Is it a private club? Is it a tennis court? Is it a hiking trail? We've done millions of dollars of business deals in the last several years on the hiking trails. They're like, what? You're going hiking? Yeah, because when I take people out at 3:00 for a sunrise hike, and they're all entrepreneurs and all business owners, and you're starting at 3:00 in the morning, and you had to be up at 1:00 to get packed, get dressed, get ready, drive to the hiking trail, and at 3:00 in the morning, between 3 and 8 in the morning, when it's pitch dark to sunrise, climb up a mountain to get there for sunrise, you develop such a deep bond with people where they have to get to trust you at a deep level. Because if something happens to you unexpectedly on the hiking trail, you can't call most of your friends up because most of them aren't in good shape to come get you on the trail. So you got to rely on each other. And so, yeah, it's powerful.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Do you see recurring mindset patterns that limit even very successful founders?
For sure. It's interesting. I was with a group. So recently I was with a group of very influential, very successful people. And they came to me and they said, give me a number and we want to bring you in for 2 days to do like an offsite with these very high profile public figure people. And under strict confidentiality, couldn't put anything on social media. So I give them a number and they paid it plus my travel expenses to come in for 2 days. We met at a resort and wasn't disclosed. And so these very well-known people, I went in there for 2 days. And I'd never seen in my life a group of men and women at that level of public image be so raw and vulnerable and emotional, crying because they were in such a
Wow.
safe space to just be free. And it just took the one person to just get up there and be vulnerable and take his mask off and just share. And when he did that, he just created a safe space for everybody else in the room. Here's the thing is that people don't realize that there's a cost. There's a price you have to pay to have success. There's a cost and a price you have to pay when you have money. Because when you have money, everybody wants the money. Right? People change. People get weird around you. People have expectations. When you go to, I've been to restaurants before where, years ago I was flat broke, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how much is it going to be? I'm, calculating the menu and the cost of things. And there's been times where I go to a restaurant and people get up to go use the restroom and don't come back. And they think, oh, Darren can pay the bill. And they're stiffy for the bill. I've had multiple people at a table. They just expect that he's going to pay. So now I'm very clear on expectations. If I'm taking somebody out for dinner, I will let you know, hey, I want to take you out for dinner, leave your wallet or purse at home. I'm picking up the bill. I'm very upfront with people to manage expectations so that people don't assume. So the thing is that you got to realize that there's a cost to success. And the biggest thing is that when people first meet very successful people, they go, why is that person so snobbish? Or why are they guarded? Because when somebody's very influential, people are always trying to get something from them. So they're suspicious of who you are. I use this analogy all the time with a lot of people because it gives a good visual. I said, imagine you're going to do a party and you're inviting everybody to your house and you've got a swimming pool in your backyard. Everybody's having a great time. There's food, there's beverages, live entertainment. Everybody's having a really great time. There's a couple hundred people there. And then one person decides to urinate or pee in the swimming pool. Now you got to go to the pool, right? And now you ruin the experience for everybody. So what people are cautious of is that when you come into their inner circle or you get introduced to them, they're a little bit guarded because they don't know if you're going to be the pool person that's going to pee in their pool, that's going to create a relationship risk, reputational risk to other people. You might burn somebody else financially in the group. You might come in. Like we had a guy one time in our hiking group, for example. I've got over 300 people in a hiking group in Vancouver here. And I had a guy a couple of years ago came in, got introduced to somebody. Guy came in, we're on a hike. And all of a sudden the guy goes, okay, everybody, I need everybody's attention. We're stopped. We're taking a break. We're at the top of this mountain. This guy says, I need your attention. I need every one of you to buy an insurance policy from me. So I'm going to exchange contact information. I'm going to set an appointment. Every one of you needs to buy an insurance policy from me because I need to hit this certain target. And I'm going to donate some proceeds to the Canadian Cancer Society. And people look at me like, what? You see, I said earlier, we do millions of dollars of deals on the hiking trails, but we don't pitch or sell people. We build relationships in an authentic, vulnerable, transparent way, and an integral way. And through building those relationships where people get to know you, like you, and trust you, business gets done, money changes hands over a period of time. Not always, but over a period of time. And so the key thing is that like me, I don't pitch or sell people. I just share the hiking experience, being out in nature, having a great time with people, creating a safe space for people. And I generate a lot of business, but I'm not soliciting for business because I'm a human being. It's who I'm being, not what I'm doing. And most people are transactional, not relational. See, most people will send me a friend request on social media and then they start pitching me on their product and expect me to buy something. There's no relationship equity that's built. They haven't gotten to know me. It's transactional versus relational. So I want to get to know people first and build that relationship equity where they get to know me, like me, and trust me and build that relationship. And over time, business comes, great. If business doesn't come, great. I'm not attached to it because I have an abundance and prosperity mindset versus lack and scarcity. I used to be the guy that had commission breath. I used to be the guy that would be 5 days before rent is due. And I'm out hustling and grinding and all that kind of stuff. Be like, man, you're really desperate. Yeah, because I got to pay rent in 4 or 5 days. So people could sense that energy off of me. Because they can sense that desperation.
People can definitely sense energy.
Oh, yeah.
We can talk about 4 hours about this, but just on this topic specifically.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. If you had a magic wand and could instantly fix one bottleneck in your business today, what would it be?
Good question. I would say the bottleneck for me would be around commitment with people. People say that they're going to be there for the long game. So when things get challenging or hard, this is why I like to take people hiking as part of my discovery and due diligence process as a bottleneck, because I like to take people hiking as the interview process. And I do something hard where they're going to sweat, they're going to fart, they're going to burp, they're going to be uncomfortable because I get to see, because people talk a really good game in the boardroom or on the Zoom call or the interview. But then when things get challenging, they want to quit or give up. So the bottleneck for me now is taking more people out. Unfortunately, not everybody can hike, right? But take more people out hiking, or at least do some physical exercise where I get a chance to watch and observe, because behavior never lies. And that's a bottleneck for me because then you realize you invest so much time, effort, and energy, and then you realize the person's not the right match, or they're just being around you because they want to learn from you. Then they're going to build their own thing.
That's an amazing way to put it. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where do you see your brand and business evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
A great question. I would say globally. I would say in countries that are just coming online with the internet. I travel a lot around the world, and I've been to many third world countries and many countries around the world. I do 10 countries a year. I travel to every year now. And so the thing is for me is I see in the next 5 to 10 years, like my book, like who would ever thought Until I Become, when it came out just 3 years ago, it was a book that was written during COVID because I realized that I wanted to make a difference in the world. I wanted to create a legacy. I wanted to serve people. But I never realized, thanks to Amazon and book publishers and stuff like that, the book would be in over 100 countries. So, and it's only in English. So I see this down the road is me being all over the world, serving people and enriching people's lives. So that's what I see, building a very successful brand with smashing numbers, employing people, creating jobs, solving problems, serving people. Link Foundation, building schools all over the world as a passion project to enrich kids' lives, help alleviate poverty, provide access to clean drinking water, food security, and creating a community center with this school. So I have a whole master plan for my life. So I'm kind of giving you a high level general overview, not specific, but I have a whole master plan for my life. In fact, I've spent the last almost 20 years of my life now hiring consultants, business consultants, to actually create a master plan to actually build out a 250-year legacy plan for my life. I've got over 7,000. Yeah, I've got over 7,000 written goals. Sometime I'll show you. I've got over 7,000 written goals for my life.
Oh, Jesus.
That are
We should go for a
documented.
hike for sure. For sure. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs who feel stuck right now and but know they're capable of much more?
You need to change your room. Change your room. It's the key thing is change your environment. You change your room, you change your life. What I mean by that is you got to change the environment of people you're hanging out with. I used to hang out with 4 broke friends. I was the 5th. As soon as I started changing my rooms, you got to change the rooms and the seats that you're sitting at, the tables you're sitting at. So if you're struggling right now with your weight, your health, your finances, you got to get around. So if you're struggling with weight, walk through the gym. You struggle with substance abuse, drugs, or alcohol, go to the NA meeting, go to the AA meeting. You struggle with self-confidence and public speaking leadership skills, walk into the Toastmasters meeting. Right? You're struggling financial, get around people who are doing really well financially. Great question. I had a bunch of realtors the other day talking to me because they're struggling right now in the market. I said, you need to get around realtors that are crushing it, that are winning. People are always buying, people are always selling, and people are always investing in real estate. Buying, selling, investing in real estate. People are always doing it. No matter what the media is telling you, no matter what the market, the economy is doing, people are always buying, selling, investing in real estate because people are always dealing with life situations. People are dying, people are moving, people are transferring, people are breaking up, right? All that's going on in life. So people are always buying, selling, or investing in real estate. You got to get around the people who are winning right now in real estate and hang out with them. I always share with people, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. If you hang around Tom Cruise long enough, eventually you're probably going to be an extra in one of his movies.
Very possible, but he's retiring soon, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I get the idea.
Yeah. If you're around these people long enough, you're going to, in the room, in the opportunity. Right? You hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. You hang around people long enough and you provide value and you contribute, not there to take, right? I've got people in my life who I share them all the time privately. I said, listen, you got to start contributing, start being a difference maker, start giving. You're just showing up to take. You're a taker. Start contributing, start giving, start providing value to this room, start being a difference maker. You're always here just showing up what you can take, what you can give. It's not going to work. You're going to get found out. You're going to get moved out of this network because people don't want to be around that. It's got to be a fair means of exchange of win-win.
You're the average of your 5 friends, right? That's the life improvement through osmosis, if you want to call it. So, all right. Sir Daren, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on a podcast. Thank you for joining and sharing your absolutely amazing feedback and your insights. Hopefully to see you again on our next podcast, and I'll see you again in person on a hike in Vancouver.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Grateful to be here and grateful to be in service.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, and have a good weekend. We'll chat soon.
Great. Thank you.